Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this September 20th, 2022 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our Communications Manager, Emily Kaiser, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely or in person. Emily?
Thanks, Commissioner. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting and public hearing, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we'll ask that you virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you are joining us virtually, the chat feature on this Zoom meeting is available only as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, please submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you're a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded. A link to the video recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the coming days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here, and it's also posted to wcroads.org. There's a link available in the chat, and I will share it one more time here in a minute if you're joining us virtually. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, Emily. I now call this meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green has an excused absence. Commissioner Douglas Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Here.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance. Managing Director Cheryl Siddle. Director of Engineering County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald. Director of Operations Adam Leif. And Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you, Aaron. If you would please join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support. Are there any changes, corrections, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller.
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Here.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing. This is a public hearing on the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District. It is now open. Please remember that public comments made at this time should only be about the Special Assessment District. We will have the regular public comment period for general comments later in the agenda. I'd also like to note for everyone who may be here for the York Timber Ridge SAD that the action item and a motion regarding that will take place later in this meeting as action item number B. Emily, do you want to describe the logistics of this public hearing for comment?
Yes, thanks, Commissioner. So since this is a hybrid hearing with both in-person and virtual attendees, we're going to take turns between those attending in person and those attending virtually. For virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reaction button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. I'll announce your username or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For in-person attendees, we'll start with those of you who've signed up on the sign-in sheet as you've walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. I'll notify you when it is your turn. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to share their comment. Okay,
All set, Emily?
Yep, one sec. I'm getting my screens all set to go.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a lot of people interested in public comment. So we're gonna go back and forth, starting with in person, and then again.
Emily,
yeah.
I believe our Director of
I'm sorry, Matt.
Engineering has
Go
some
ahead.
introductory remarks to share.
I'm ready
with
when
us.
you are. Yep, there you go.
Good afternoon, Matt McDonald, Director of Engineering. I just wanted to present everyone here, along with you commissioners, where we're at in the process Ultimately, this is a very legal process. We're following Public Act 246 of 1931, whereby a special assessment district has been created for the improvement of public roads. We received a petition about a year ago. I have gone through the necessary steps in the law, went through and had an initial hearing of objections as part of the public engagement required under the law, issued a determination, went out for bids. The bids came in a little high. Therefore, we were required to go through another hearing of objections. We went through that. And then also we did another order of determination, but then subsequently received a petition for reconsideration. And that's really why we're here today. We received that petition of reconsideration, and the board reacted to that and scheduled this hearing today, where we are going to hear from the public. And we have in the board packet assembled all the things that we've received underwritten since establishing the hearing date for today. And then also on page 5 of the board packet, you'll see we put together a graphic summary. And Emily, if you would be so kind to bring that up. If you could just zoom in a little bit. Thank you so much. I think that's good. Ultimately, you see a lot of colors on the map. They are color coded down below, and really there's a lot of color on here because we've heard from a lot of folks, which is a good thing. That's that public engagement that's really required under the law, and it's working very well. What we did see was there was enough, obviously, to start the petition, where we heard from 31 folks that were or 25 initially that signed the petition. And then ultimately, during the course of all these events where we received higher bid prices, and there was what I would call somewhat, some folks had a change of heart. Obviously, financial implications, costs went up. Thoughts for reconsideration were obviously submitted, and we have a number of folks that had originally signed the original petition for the project, reconsidered that, and signed the actual petition for reconsideration. So you have the numbers down below, and ironically, 2 came in after the board packet, some which I believe were printed in before you. So we heard from an additional parcel that we hadn't heard from, parcel number 9. And as I tallied them up, essentially, from all the documented correspondence, whether it be the petition or emails or correspondence received, it looks as though we have 34 folks that are currently against moving the project forward, and 31 that are for the project moving forward. So with that, if you have any questions on the exhibit, be happy to answer that. Otherwise, I think it'd be appropriate to hear from the public.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough.
All right.
Commissioners, anyone have any questions? Commissioner Doug Fuller.
Matt, I thank you for the work you put in on this map. I'm following this reading for project 31 were for the project. Signed the original, 43 signed the original, but there's 31 that are now in favor.
Correct. That would account for the folks that have reconsidered and signed
Okay.
the petition for reconsideration that had
So-
originally signed the petition for.
So then the block or the square below that says 33 against, which includes the 31 that signed the reconsideration.
Some of them, yes, correct. And then we heard from the additional parcel 9, which they were signed the petition as well and submitted that for the board's consideration. So really that number came up from 33 to 34.
Okay.
Other questions, commissioners? I don't see any. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Emily, can you guide us in the sequence of people who asked to speak, please? Regarding just the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District at this time.
Yes, I can. And as I mentioned, we do have a lot. So let me get my screen situated. And as we mentioned, we'll have
Take your time.
we'll have each, we'll switch between in-person and those who want to make comment virtually. So if you'd like to make public comment regarding the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District public hearing, which we are currently in, please raise your hand virtually now. And we will start with those who are in person. And then I'll start our 3-minute timer here on the screen and we'll go through everybody who has said they want to make comment. So the first up is Ron from Timber Ridge Drive.
Ron,
Ron, you can go to the podium and we'll start your time when you get up there. Take your time.
Yes, I'm Ron Yar from 10360 Timber Ridge Drive. We are in support of the project. As been residents there for over 20 years. We have constantly paid annual dues to our association. Our association was responsible for the roads. The roads were maintained by the association at no cost to any of the perimeter folks who may have objections or whatever. And we feel that it's important as homeowners in our association that we maintain the roads because we have UPS, we have all the support services of fire, police, road commission, school buses, of which all of our neighbors use, and they depend on it. And the roads are deteriorating. They look decent now at this point, but we've been restricted from maintaining it because of the cost implied by the road commission, indicating that we needed to have a MDOT approved contractor to come in and provide the sealing that we've done ourselves previously several times at our expense and no expense to any of the perimeter people. It's all been through the association, and for 20 years, the association has maintained a budget to maintain the properties. We have restrictions for our properties. The other people that are on the fringes don't have the same restrictions. In addition, we think that during the time when the road commission improved the railroad bridge on Judd Road, that it's possible that the people along Judd Road who lost property and have had to move their driveways in through the subdivision roads receive possibly some compensation. I don't know that for sure, but the commission could probably verify that internally. We're in support of it and think that it's imperative that you plan when you live in the community, you take care of the community, and you plan your maintenance schedules. And we've been retired for over 22 years. And we've paid school taxes. We had no kids go to the schools. Taxes are part of it, and maintenance fees are part of what are responsibilities of the community. Thank you very much.
thank you for your comments.
Okay, next up is Ron and Kathy James of Judd Road. Go ahead.
Ron James, 43 Judd Road. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here. The comments that were made before about where our houses are and what we have to do to pay and get no say in it. But that's what I'd like to talk about is that the road commission wants to come in and fix this road, which is fine, but at the most expensive I don't know how you say it, way to do it. Instead of finding a less expensive way to fix the road. Our road lasted 25 years, the way it is, the way it was put in the first time. If there is, but that's why I think that maybe it shouldn't cost quite so much. We did have the numbers we needed to at least have the board look at canceling this project. And then due to technicalities, we lost 2 or 3 people on our vote. My question would be, if these people are behind in, I think the letter said, taxes, special assessments, things like that on their house, if they can't pay that and you add another $12,500 to them, are you going to get your money? Where is that money going to come from? And if you go by people that do not want this, we do I think the letter said, if I remember right, said 58% of the people did not want to have it done the way that it was described for us to do. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous.
It's okay. You're doing fine. You're
But,
doing fine.
So that's why we really would like the board to look at the assessment that to either change the way it's done or something. And if it falls back to next year in the spring, they said that they were going to maybe start this project with our economy going down, fuel prices going up. And will they come around and say, well, gee, we need more money this time? If you can't afford what you have now and you add another $12,000 to it, who pays that money? It just, I mean, to me, it's like you don't have anybody they can't pay what they owe. Now they can't pay another $12,000.
Just for clarity, do you support or oppose the special assessment district?
I'm against it. I don't want it
Thank you.
to happen.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and we don't have any virtual raised hands yet. And so just a reminder, if you are joining us virtually and would like to make public comment as a part of the York Timber Ridge public hearing, now would be the time to raise your hand. If you're joining us from your touchtone phone, you can do that by dialing *9. And if you are doing that, if you're joining us from your computer or smartphone, just look for the reactions or participants button and then click the raised hands button. So we'll go to another person in person. This is Dennis of Judd Road as well.
Hello, I'm Dennis Halleck. I live at 51 Judd. I've lived on 51 Judd at 51 Judd since 1977. When I moved in here, there was 4 houses. We didn't have a subdivision. We didn't have a homeowners association. We didn't pay dues to the homeowners association. We weren't asked to join the homeowners association. Obviously, our houses weren't quite up to the standards of those that are built there. That road timber that runs next to my property, my driveway enters Meadow Ridge 1 car length from the stop sign at Judd Road. And you expect me to pay $12,000 for that much use? I understand what the lineage road cost is, but I've been there since 1977. I built the home myself. I've raised 5 kids in that home. And basically, I am one of the ones that haven't paid their property taxes. And I can tell you, I won't. Not if this goes through. I think it's it's repercussions from when the original people out there, not the homeowners association, fought against the bridge for the railroad. Since then, they made me move my driveway when that bridge went in. I didn't want to move it. When I asked to move it originally, over there. They told me it was too close to the corner. That I couldn't legally do it. But yet they came and they moved it. Meaning the road commission. That road initially, when it was installed, was red tagged for improper materials. They had to come in and fix that. So I imagine that there was some substandard material used in that. The gentleman that did the survey and deemed it necessary to repair the roads, even though he's a civil engineer, he's also one of the homeowners association members. One of the gentlemen that's on the York Township Board is also homeowners, and he was involved quite deeply in putting this petition together. We didn't get any type of notification that there was even going to be a vote.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. Your 3 minutes are up. So
All right,
clear that you oppose the SAD.
absolutely.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, we still don't have any virtual hands, so I'm going to keep going through our in-person list here. Next up is Craig Mahaney of Timber Ridge Drive.
Hello, my name is Craig Mahaney, and I live at 10240 Timber Ridge Drive. I support the SAD process moving forward. It was very frustrating to receive a letter from the Washtenaw County Road Commission that said it had received an invalid petition for reconsideration, yet did not then go on to say that the SAD project would move forward as planned. Although that is what the commission had said many times would happen if an invalid petition had been received. I believe this body should approve the SAD program as it said it would, and the project should move forward. Watching the board working session from August 16th, excuse me.
Can you speak up? I'm sorry.
Yep. Watching the board working session from August 16th, I appreciated the statements made by the board seeking the will of the people in this process. However, I noticed reference was made to the percent of lineal frontage represented in petitions as the legal threshold for the law, as if it were the number of parcels in support. It's not the case, and support in terms of number of parcels is indeed a different metric, as I think you see in the map presented to you today. So I would encourage you to look at both and consider both. The proposed SAD includes a number of corner lots that have many times the lineal frontage of other lots that are located on cul-de-sacs. The imbalance should be considered. Also, when neighbors recount the petition circulator, becoming argumentative when they refuse to sign the petition for reconsideration, I think it casts aspersion on the entire petition. Does it really represent the will of the people, or is it tainted by coercion by a belligerent minority? The Washtenaw County Road Commission has made it clear that the county does not have adequate funds for preventative maintenance of local roads, let alone reconstruction, and that any additional monies get allocated to shortfalls on higher priority roads. The only way for residents to avoid crumbling roads and maintain the value of their homes is to self-fund reconstruction through the SAD process. I support the SAD process moving forward. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, next up on the in-person list is Lynn of Judd Road.
Hi, my name is Lynn Gaskell. I live at 193 Judd Road. I submitted the petition for reconsideration, and I, along with someone else in the sub, circulated the petition. I was not belligerent with anyone. When they told me no, I said, thank you for your time, and walked off. I would like to thank the board for the opportunity I was given to collect more petitions, the extra time that was afforded to me. I appreciate that very much. I do recognize that the rules are the rules and the law is the law. And my original petition came in under the required 51%. However, if I were allowed to count the two houses that have financial hardships that cause their petitions to be invalid, my petition would have been at 56%. And I think that is no small number. Even 50% is no small number. That clearly shows that the people with lineal frontage in there, several corner lots also, do not want this to move forward. And so on behalf of those people and the people that signed the original petition, I ask humbly and respectfully that you dissolve the SAD. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, next on the in-person list is Tom Starkey of Ridgeline.
Hello,
Hello.
I have more than 3 minutes, so I'll try and squeeze this in.
Well, I'll cut you off, sir.
All right, I bet you will.
The bell rings.
My name is Tom Starkey. I'm at 10430 Ridgeline Drive. I'm also a member of the road committee and the HOA. I'm here today to speak on behalf of myself and several others that couldn't attend today. I believe they expressed that in some emails they sent you last week on why we are in favor of continuing the SAD and resurfacing the roads. I don't want to talk about why. We've done the research, and you've done the research. We know that they're failing and they need to be replaced. I just want to talk about the process. As Matt said, a year ago, we gave a petition to you at 66% in favor of resurfacing the roads. And obviously the process allows public comment. In the spring, we had public comment, and there was not enough muscle or energy to bring forward a petition at that time. So we continue forward to the bid. Bid is over, so it allows the opportunity for a second public comment. And at that point, the onus and the burden is on those people to provide a petition by the deadline, August 15th, and to be valid. They met the deadline. It was deemed invalid, 49%. In fact, only 31 homes out of 67 signed the petition. Anything that happens after August 15th, I don't think should be considered. I mean, we have legal process, and a deadline is a deadline. So I'm asking that you vote today to continue the SAD and allow the first petition to move forward. If you vote no today, it's inevitable. These roads have to be replaced, whether it's now or 5 years from now. We got to do it. If we think costs are going to be lower in 5 years, it's hard to say. But that getting to my second point, the bid came in the summer, right before the highs of all the of oil and gas. Since then, oil's down 30%, gas is down over 25%. We know that asphalt, which is tied to those commodities, is the largest expenditure in the bid. We know that the bid is expired, so there has to be another bid. So most likely it could be lower. To vote no today on continuing this SAD based on an invalid petition and an expired bid, I don't think it does the process a good service or the people that initially voted for it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Even if you vote yes and we continue the SAD, we still need to have a bid. Let's see if the bid is lower. If it's above the threshold the engineers provided, there still has to be public comment, which is another opportunity for people to say no at that time.
I have to stop you. Your
All right.
3 minutes.
Thank
has
you for your
expired.
time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your comments.
Okay, and we do have a virtual hand or a virtual participant. Chris, let me unmute you. Chiati, you should be able to unmute yourself now, Chris. Chris, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you yet. Chris, you may need to check the audio on your computer. We still cannot hear you if you're speaking. I'll go ahead and I will mute you, and we'll come back to you because we still have some more in person. So we'll try again after the next in-person person. Okay, so the next in-person person is Tom of Green Valley.
Hello, I'm Tom Boom, 81 Green Valley Drive in Timber Ridge. I've worked as a professional engineer for the last 20 years. I have a few statements I jotted down about my support for the SAD. I served as the chair of the road committee. I helped hire a geotechnical consultant to perform a paving analysis. And I also did my own pavement analysis, both of which showed that the roads need to be replaced and that the lowest cost option for the next 20 years for our sub would be to do a full reconstruction now and then diligent O&M once cracks started appearing. But most people I've talked to want to live on a paved road and agree that the roads need to be replaced. We've all seen how bad a wet Judd road can be, and we don't want to live on a similar gravel road. The concerns I've heard are related to the expensive cost and the hope that costs will decrease in the future. I can't predict the future, but I've got a couple of points about the cost. The first point is that while there's a chance they'll decrease, there's also a chance that they won't and could increase. I reviewed construction cost indices for the last 50 years, and these indices track the cost of construction on a year-to-year basis. Since 1970, not one time in the last 50 years have construction costs decreased from year to year. So we can hope to get the cost down, but historically that hasn't happened. The second point is related to the cost of borrowing. If, like me, you would need to borrow from the county to pay for the roads, the loan will include interest. We know that interest rates are going up, and for every 1% point increase, our individual cost of borrowing goes up about $600 over 10 years. So we had historically low rates earlier this year. We've delayed the project, rates have gone up, and our costs have increased by about $600 just for interest alone. Interest rates are going to continue going up. My last point related to cost is that we only received one bid last time. If this moves forward, I would ask that the county consider ways in which they can receive more bids to do this work. Not receiving multiple competitive bids is a disservice to the residents of Timber Ridge who are paying for this ourselves. With billions of dollars of federal funds available in the next few years for major infrastructure projects, MDOT contractors will likely be very busy and not inclined to work on our subdivision, but smaller outfits might be able to. I think it's worth at least exploring alternative options for cost competitiveness. Given the likelihood of increasing construction costs in the future and increasing borrowing costs, I ask that we move forward with the road construction now and find ways to receive multiple competitive bids. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your comments.
Okay, we think we got Chris's audio figured out, so let's try this again. Chris Chatty, you should be able to.
Hello, good afternoon. Hope you can hear me now.
We can, yeah, go ahead. If you want to state your address and I'll start the timer.
Yes, absolutely. So Chris Seacott, we live at 10270 Timber Ridge Drive. I apologize for joining late, but I wanted to first show my support for those who have shown support for the approval of the SAD going forward. I agree with Tom. I had spoken just a few days ago about that same process, that if this continues to delay, it will cost us all more in the long run. And selfishly, I'd like to say that, we've spent over $100,000 improving our property over the past 3 years. I'd like to protect that investment for my children. And I want to make sure, and to appeal to my neighbors who do not support this, that, we have an HOA for a reason, that we do that to make sure that we all maintain a certain level of our properties. And we need to do that collectively to show that, while it may not add to the value of your home, it'll definitely make sure that people, when they're deciding to purchase your home in the future, that they'll look at that. And when we decided to move here, we knew that the roads needed to be replaced. We were under the assumption they'd be replaced by the county or the state. But now, knowing what we know now, we'd like to spend less, because I can think of a lot of other ways to spend $12,000 on my family. But we just want to call again to show our support for this and hope the vote goes forward today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Chris.
All right, our next in-person comment is David of Judd Road. Oh. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I skipped somebody. I'll come back to them. They were a maybe anyway. It's okay. All right, go ahead.
I'm David, 201 Judd Road. Couple things. One, I want to touch on the first comment of being part of an association that voluntarily pays dues to maintain their own property for them. Well, I'm not part of the association. A lot of us here are not part of the association. We don't choose to pay those dues. In fact, I moved out of an association to move into this house, to not be part of an association where I was forced to pay for things that I may or may not want. It should be our choice. But yet somehow we're being included to pay money for something that we're not really included in, which doesn't quite seem right to us. I've asked this question several times. I've still not yet gotten an answer from anybody of what actually is so terrible about the roads that they're trying to redo. You know, back to the UPS drivers, the Amazon drivers, they feel relief when they get to that road, Ridgeline or Timber Ridge or any of them. Because again, we live off of a dirt road. We chose to live off of a dirt road. Dirt roads are never perfect. Yes, when it rains, it gets muddy and nasty, but we chose to live there. So why are we trying to make basically a driveway for somebody perfect after they travel miles of a dirt road to get there? That's horrible. Back to the last meeting that we went to, something got brought up about there was an initial assessment taken before any of this actually started. Somebody filed a complaint or a petition to have the roads redone. Supposedly a survey went out or a letter went out asking everybody involved, hey, would you be interested in this? Is this something you would like? I guess I don't remember the numbers exactly, so forgive me, but it sounded like it was about 56%, if I remember, of participants, lot owners, and lineal footage. It was between 52 to 56%. I know I wasn't included in that. I've talked to my neighbor. They were not included in that survey. I've talked to 4 or 5 other people that were not in the association. They also were not included in that initial survey. So that's what moved this whole thing forward, was a survey that was over 50%, but not everybody was included. And you're talking about a petition that had 2 people invalid is what made it invalid. Well, I just named 6 people that weren't included in the whole thing. That's 3 times the amount. We weren't asked to move any of this forward. That's what started this whole thing. So I guess I'd just like to know where any of that where these stats come from, because if you included us in the initial, nobody would be here today. So for the record, yes, I'm opposed to that.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Okay, we do have another virtual participant. And before I do that, I'm just going to read my instructions again. If you're joining us virtually and would like to make comment, there's been a couple of questions in chat about it. So if you are viewing the meeting on your computer, you want to first make sure to click the join audio button, and then you can raise your hand by clicking the participants or reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and then the raised hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. And I'll unmute virtual participants when it's your turn, and I'll list the last 4 digits of your phone number or your name, your username. So we do have Sarah. Let me find you, Sarah. Okay, Sarah, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Yep, Sarah, if you would state your address and then go ahead with your comments, I'll start the clock.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Sarah Rauch. I live at 10321 Timber Ridge Drive as a member of the subdivision. I voted for this opportunity to reconstruct our roads and have roads for our neighborhood that function properly, which is only a matter of time before they become broken down further for proper use. We've been proactive all along the journey of living in this neighborhood, as intending that when we purchased our homes that had roads, that we would keep those roads, because that decision was provided at the time of purchase. I support Craig Mahaney, the Yars, Tom Boone, Tom Starkey, and all of those who are voting and asking for this SAD to continue through. The roads are important for services and simple life aspects of running the stroller across the road as you take your family for a walk. People came to the subdivision by having roads, and I ask that you continue the SAD process in some way in this area. With all the taxes being paid, I would think the roads should be able to be maintained, since this was at the time of home ownership and should continue. We need this SAD and this situation solved for the roads reconstructions to be acceptable and a solution that's understood. I truly understand, as far as you're reaching for payment, it does seem not the right thing to do, but having roads that you already agreed to continue is what I think should continue going forward. I believe the price will not be less in the future. I believe it'll be more. Now's the time to set this plan into play by updating the bid, getting the plan in place, and I ask for your support and approval of the plan being discussed at today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, we'll go back to in person. Tim of Timber Ridge, you had a question, you had maybe, do you want to go ahead? Okay, no problem.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Tim Horrible. I live at 10261 Timber Ridge Drive, a corner lot, and I am in favor of the said project moving forward for 3 reasons. Number one, something that Tom had brought up is the process. So already the process going forward in terms of the stipulation in the legal matters, it's the project should have moved forward, and any deadlines beyond the August 15th has passed. So based on that, it should move forward. The second reason, which is brought up multiple times, is the inevitable repair of the roads. I know that not only private parties have done their assessments, but even Washtenaw County has done their assessment, encouraging road repair, and it is needed for the roads to be maintained. If you could take an analogy of a car, we live in the Detroit automotive area. If your engine oil is bad, sure, you can progress and go along, but it's only going to cause matters worse for a full engine teardown. Or if your doctor says you need a something needs to be removed, you don't want that to spread, so get it removed now. And finally, if we're all homeowners, if there's a leak, you want to fix the leak now, or it's just going to cost more time, more money and time, which brings me up to my third point, the costs. Obviously, I don't know what the future will hold, but I only know that costs will most likely go up in terms of prices and times. But that being said, after all of the analogies that I gave is getting a second opinion. So we would like to move forward to see what a second opinion and the cost associated is. That seems to be one of the biggest concerns, is the cost to the roads. So again, just to reiterate, I am in favor of the said process to move forward, and look for the board to continue to push this to get forward, because it's only delaying the inevitable. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Okay, I believe I've made it through everybody who was in person and wanted to make comment regarding the York Timber Ridge public hearing. I've got 2 virtual hands raised, but if you are here in person and would like to, just get ready, because I'll come back to you after we do virtual. So first we've got Josh, who's joined us on Zoom. Josh, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, go ahead with your comments, Josh. We can hear you.
Great. I'm at 10410 Ridgeline Court. I'm somewhat new to the subdivision. I do hear everyone's opinions on why we need to maintain the roads, and I do think it's important that we do maintain the roads. However, I am against the SAD at this point in time.
Josh, I'm having trouble hearing you. Emily, can you
sure
turn up the volume a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to move my microphone. Sorry about that. Mostly what I was saying is that I fully agree with the reasons that most people are stipulating why they want the SAD to move forward. I'm personally against the SAD. The reason that I'm actually against it, though, is because I do think that right now costs are much higher because of what's going on in the world. I do think oil prices are likely to come down, which will highly affect the cost of asphalt. So my personal opinion is that I'm against it at this time, and think that we should reconsider it in a little bit in the future. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, our next virtual hand raised is Brad. Brad, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Emily has to restart the clock.
Okay, thank you. Got too many screens up over here. Okay, Brad, we can hear you. If you want to state your address, and I'll start the timer.
Yeah, this is Brad Potts. I live at 10370 Ridgeline Court. Currently, I am not in favor for the SAD moving forward. I think there's bigger problems in the neighborhood than the roads that the board is not willing to tell the residents. There's a lot of flooding issues going on that have been brought up for 4 years now. And I have a letter from the board of directors stating that the concrete culvert that goes underneath the road my property is in need of some serious repair. And I've got some quotes for contractors for about $30,000 to repair the drainage issues. The board feels, the HOA feels it's not the responsibility of the HOA to repair any drainage, and they're solely putting it on me for a cost of about 30 grand. So if you're taking into consideration that I have to fix everybody's drainage for the neighborhood at $30,000 plus the road cost at another 12 to 15, it's over $40,000 that me as a homeowner has to pay out of my pocket for HOA related issues. Just recently, about 2 weeks ago, I have a letter from Craig Mahoney stating that it was okay for me to dump stone and dam off the drainage coming into the retention pond to divert all the water. So like I said, there's a lot bigger issues going on than just this road. If the county or they could get on board with fixing all the drainage issues and do the roads, then you could probably change my vote. But for right now, like I said, there's no way I can spend $40,000 to fix the roads and the water drainage issues that the board is neglecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, so we have made it through all of our raised hands. Let me do the instructions one more time, and then we'll ask for any other in-person participants. So if you're joining us virtually, you can raise your hand by clicking the participants or reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and then the raise hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touchtone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Is there anybody else here or in the lobby who would like to make public comment regarding the York Timber Ridge public hearing? Go ahead, sir. If you would state your name and address before beginning your comments.
Well, I'm Greg Cool from 47 Judd Road, and we were moved in before the subdivision was started. And when the bridge came in, they took our driveway out, and we were told to use the subdivision road. And we get standing water now because of that water, because the rain and the road was put in. It's higher than our yard that used to drain off to the south. But I'm against this. We weren't compensated for when they took our driveway away. We were just told to use the other road. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And I don't see any other hands raised virtually. We did have a comment made, and I just want to make sure, commissioners, that you're aware of it in the chat. This was from Jessica, and she just wanted to point out that her quote is, "And the people who live here now differ than those who may have moved forward initially." So I just want to make sure you're seeing that as well. Is there anybody else in person that would like to make a public comment about the York Timber Ridge public hearing?
Was Jessica in favor or in opposition to the special assessment district?
She didn't say. She just said, "And the people who live here now differ than those who may who have moved this forward initially."
Thank you.
And I did ask her if she wanted to speak, and she has not responded via chat. So I don't think anybody else in the lobby. Any other? Okay. Okay, I think we've made it through all of our public comment regarding the public hearing.
All right. If there are no, I see it. Not at this time. This is only for public comment. And you had your 3 minutes to make your public comments. There is another public comment period before the action item is on the agenda. If you choose to speak again at that time, you may do so.
Point of information.
What's your point? What is your question? Please come to the microphone so those who are not in the room can hear you.
I would like to know if the $12,000 is the bottom line, or are there hidden costs put in there for supervision from the road commission and engineering and all the other things that they've got going on? I've never seen a road commission project come in on budget, ever.
Sir, remind me what your name is.
Dennis Halleck.
You're Dennis. Okay, sorry.
And furthermore, I think that the way that they've got it, as I understand it, if you don't vote, don't sign a petition, it automatically goes to yes. And I'd like to know if that's true.
Thank you for your questions and your comments.
And
I do not have a response at the time. We are receiving public comments.
the third thing is the third
I'm
thing.
sorry, sir, but your time is up.
Well, Maybe you need to talk to my lawyer.
Any other public comments to be offered?
Not at this time, commissioners.
Thank you, Emily. So at this point in time, I will declare the public hearing closed, and we will move on to the next agenda item. Our next item on the agenda is acceptance of the board meeting minutes from September 6th, 2022. May I please have a motion?
So move.
Support. Thank you. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none. Aaron, if you'd please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The minutes of September 6th are accepted as presented. Next item on our agenda is a public comment period regarding the entirety of the agenda or any other issues that you wish to bring to our attention. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board.
Thanks, Commissioner. So I'm here again. So since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we'll take turns again between those attending in person and virtually. So for virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click the join audio button. Then you can raise your hand by clicking the participants or reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the raise hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I'll unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. I'll announce your username or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For in-person attendees, we'll start with those of you who have signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. I'll notify you when it is your turn. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to share their comments with the board. Okay, and we do have an in-person list again and a virtual. So we'll start with our in-person. We have Greg Gaw. Greg, if you want to introduce yourself and then I'll start the timer once you get up there.
Hello. Afternoon, respect. We achieved great. Well, it's not your.
Contract. When you open up WCRC's website, it shows the purpose statement, maintaining a convenient road system, a safe and convenient road system for the traveling public. Without a fair contract and the way TPO membership has been treated in negotiations, how can you expect to achieve this with so many vacancies and a high turnover rate? We support your approval of offering management and engineering a competitive salary and regular raises and bonuses. This recognition supports retaining top talent and leadership without turnover. Don't you want to retain the top talent throughout WCRC? Our positions have significant turnover and many vacancies. Our wages are not competitive. We are only asking for similar things that management and engineering have. We are skilled and hold credentials that should be valued. The average CDL training cost is in excess of $4,000 and commitment to maintain a license. I understand it is not a college degree, but it is still requires talents and credentials. The United States of America currently has a severe truck driver shortage, and many employers are often a very attractive opportunities. WCRC has to compete with both private and public sector for the top talent. The union is trying to achieve this very thing. We have approximately 50 snow routes. As of today, according to our last seniority list, WCRC has 10 driver positions vacant and 2 shop vacancies. We have employees either on or going on short-term disability. Each snow route takes 5 to 7 hours to complete properly and safely. With these vacancies and with medicals, people on medical, we have 17 positions that need filled before winter maintenance. As of right now, you also have 4 drivers going to night shift on state trunk line. What is the board's vision for retainment and recruiting? I'm in hopes that your update today in closed session was inclusive and representative of the efforts we have given and also reflect that we have not been offered a fair counter during these negotiations. As such, I'm going to assume that you have been made aware of fact-finding status and consider all options before imposing a contract. I also hope you are aware of the numerous proposals and counter proposals we have to give our own proposals. After this contract is settled, we have to figure out where the breakdown in communication is. If it is the union representative, if the union representative is giving these offers to the employer's representative, the employer don't reply or counter, how can you approve a contract? Somewhere we have a major issue with communication. If this is our union,
Mr. Goff, how much more do you have? Your time is
just
up.
short.
Okay. Okay.
Just very short. I'm trying to
I
hurry.
need to be
I
fair.
know I was trying to
Go
hurry.
ahead, finish.
It's gonna take me a second to find the spot. If it is our union representative, we will deal with that. If it's on the employer side, I do not know who deals with that, but hopefully it can be addressed. I do know that we're not far out from winter. We are down numerous employees and the remaining employees cannot figure out why we are being treated this way. I also know we can't add hours in a day, so this contract needs to be settled to fill these empty positions. In closing, I'm asking the meeting minutes reflect the union, reflect our union membership will continue providing excellent service, including putting ourselves in harm's way on dangerous roads, but current employees can only do so much. We need people. We share grave concern for public safety as we have not had a raise since December of 2020. We want to settle this contract and we've tried everything. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Goff.
Okay, commissioners, we do have a virtual hand raised. Pam, you should be able to unmute yourself.
I have, thank you.
Okay, yep. Go ahead with your comments.
Good afternoon, board. Pam Boyd, a SIO resident. On page 83 of the packet, it goes from Salem Township to, what's the next one? I can't find the page. Sharon Township, and I'm wondering if SIO Township had any maintenance done in their township, or were we just kind of missed on the list this week? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. We will look into that and have someone contact you after the meeting.
Okay,
Who
that's
else, Emily.
That's everybody on my list here. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make public comment during the public hearing? In the lobby? Anybody in the lobby want to make public comment? Okay. You can, if you want, yeah. You want to just introduce yourself?
My name is Sherry Maybe. We live at 10,450 Ridgeline Drive, and we're very much in favor of the SAD. It's a lovely neighborhood. Many families love to walk. People of all ages do, and the roads are not going to get any better in time. So I understand it's a lot of money, but I also think that it's something that's going to have to be done. So I wanted to voice my support.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, let me read through the virtual instructions one more time, and then I think we've made it through everybody. So if you are joining us virtually, you want to first, you can raise your hand by clicking the participants or reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and then the raise hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9, and I'll unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. Is there anyone else that would like to, in person, make a statement? And this is last call for any virtual participation by raising your hand to make public comment during our public comment period here. Okay, commissioners, I don't see any raised hands either in person or virtually. I think we are good to go.
Thank you, Emily. Next item on our agenda, written communications appearing on pages 26 through 40 of the packet. Commissioners, was there anything you wanted to draw our attention to, ask questions about? Take a minute to flip through your packet to see. I don't see anything. Okay, so we will move on to commissioner and staff follow-up to public comment. Any follow-up or comment? Yeah, or members would like to make. Commissioner Yamas?
I think that, I wanted to let everyone know that I know that this is difficult, but I did hear a lot of, not a lot, there were probably a handful of incorrect statements made that probably could be better addressed by the director. I believe your subdivision is a private subdivision? No, it's a public road? Okay, so, I know that this is difficult for everybody and it's difficult for us. So I just wanted to make comment that we're all paying attention and, the estimates. Someone made comment about the estimate that we took the highest bid, and I know that not to be true. So a lot of consideration was taken in getting the bids. So I did want you to make comment to how we take those bids and how that was chosen, even they came in higher. We don't take the most expensive way to fix roads.
Commissioner McCollum?
Yeah, I just want to say that for those who were for and against the SAD assessment, I thought both had very good points of why you wanted it and why you didn't. And yes, this is a challenging one for us. You both did a great job on expressing your needs, and I just want to thank you for being able to come to the meeting and let us know. Thank you.
Daryl, you and your staff, any?
I would just be happy to answer Commissioner Yamas's question with respect to how it was publicly bid. It did follow our bidding process. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. I do believe that we had one bidder. So typically we take the lowest qualified bid. In this particular case, we had one bidder. So low or high, there was only one bidder that was qualified on this project.
Thank you. Any other members of your staff or council wish to speak?
I don't believe so.
All
Thank
right.
you, though.
All right. We will move on to new business. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Items 1 through 5, pages 41 through 80 provide the backup on that.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The next item that we have. Got a note here for where the motion appears in our packet.
Yeah, I need that.
The motion
It's on page 57.
Yeah.
So the action item, may I have a motion to either dissolve or continue the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District at this time?
I have a motion that I'm prepared to.
Please.
Whereas this Washtenaw County Board of County Road Commissioners did on August the 2nd, 2022, pursuant to the provisions of Public Act 246 of 1931 as amended, make an order of determination that Green Valley Drive, Meadow Ridge Drive, Ridgeline Court, Ridgeline Drive, Timber Ridge Court, and Timber Ridge Drive in the Township of York, Section 15, Washtenaw County, Michigan, should be improved. And whereas this board has created Special Assessment District number 13, and whereas this board held a second hearing of objections on July the 19th of 2022, and whereas on August the 15th, 2022, a petition for reconsideration was filed with the agency. And whereas said petition was subsequently found to be invalid due to an insufficiency in signatures, and whereas on August the 16th, the board set the date for a public hearing on the petition for reconsideration. Now therefore be it resolved that this board hereby dissolves Special Assessment District number 13. No further action shall be taken on the project under the current petition. Be it further resolved that we approve and sign the 8th resolution of the York Timber Ridge Improvement Project and place it on file as part of the Special Assessment District number 13 project.
Point of clarification, there was a second point under your motion. You-
Oh, I'm sorry.
You read number 1. If you
Yes,
could then
you're
please-
absolutely correct. I'm sorry. Shall I just say number
So
1?
in addition,
Yeah, okay. In addition, all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be the same are hereby rescinded.
so at this time, is there further discussion on this motion? I see none. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Oh, we need a second.
We need, oh, I thought I heard one.
Support.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The rescission is adopted. The dissolution of the SAD is adopted. Next item on our agenda are reports of the county commissioners and liaisons. County commissioners, anyone have a report to offer? We can start with, well, let's start with our county commissioners. There are too many squares here. Is Commissioner Sanders is here? Commissioner
Commissioner Sanders
do you
is
have-
here. Let me go ahead and ask if she wants to unmute. Commissioner Sanders, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Well, after all of this dialogue, I don't really know if I want to add anything. I'm just listening to all of the public comment. Glad to see that people are engaged regardless of what decisions they've decided to make, and just glad to be able to hear the comments. So thank you for allowing me to unmute.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders.
And Commissioner Schenk is not here.
Okay, all right. So now we will move on to the report of our county board commissioners, county road commissioners. Gloria, would you care to go first?
Sure. So I attended a virtual meeting. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, of Huron, resurfacing of Huron River, I believe. On 9/14, I went to the CRISIF annual meeting in Traverse City, and September 14th through the 16th attended the Northern Michigan Association of Road Commissioners, which I garnered a lot of information, and I'll be making a report and submitting at a later date. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner McCollum?
Yes, I'll just read part of mine because it's quite long. I viewed the Huron River Drive public meeting video, and September 13th through the 16th, I attended the CRASIF conference and also the Northern Road Commission conference. And at CRASIF, I received a reward for the Road Commission, Washtenaw County Road Commission, for the mod costs, which very proud to do that. On September 13th, I also attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec, and I have the information there. I did supply a booklet on the Michigan folk schools to the board members for their pleasure. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCollum. Commissioner Green has an excused absence. Commissioner Doug Fuller.
Doug's report, I did not fill out a written one, so I'll give you the short story. Yesterday, I attended virtually a meeting of the Roads Plus board. which I'm proud to represent ourselves on. Roads Plus is the political action arm of the County Road Association of Michigan. The purpose of the meeting yesterday was to review each state level election coming up in November for possible endorsements by Roads Plus and or contributions. We make contributions when we feel it helpful. We generally, it's not a large amount of money. We generally pass out in the realm of $20,000. Sometimes it stretches to $25,000, which when you divide that by the number of people in the state House and Senate isn't much money.
Right.
So we're not buying influence. We're just simply making it clear to some people that we're recognizing the fact that they were friendly and supportive. Or we hope they shall be in the future, put it that way. I'm always astonished by the number. We sent out a little questionnaire
Yes.
to each person who actually is listed in a primary. You'd be astonished, perhaps, by the number of people who do not respond to the little questionnaire. And my personal position, which I share with some members of the board, is that if you haven't bothered to fill out the little questionnaire, you should not be considered by the Roads Plus board for our support. It's not like the candidate themselves has to fill it out. They all have staff people here. And if you can't fill it out in 10 minutes, you shouldn't be on my staff. That having been said, we don't adhere to that policy. We have been known to endorse people that do not fill out the questionnaire over my vociferous objections, which so far I wouldn't say have fallen on deaf ears, but there are a number of reasons why people wind up getting our support when they haven't actually asked for it. That having been said, locally, we did support the chair of our county board's Senate race. She did fill out the questionnaire, by the way, or someone on her staff did. So we endorsed her in her race. So, and that was locally, that's the only endorsement that we made.
Did no other Washtenaw County candidates submit the questionnaires?
That would be correct.
Thank you.
So anyway, that endeavor took 3.5 hours to go through each election and comments from various commissioners. So we'll see.
And how much did Roads Plus distribute in this round? Do you have any idea?
I don't
know. Okay.
I don't know. I would only be guessing. So I would
Okay.
say I don't know.
I haven't looked to see how much was available in the July report. I was just curious overall.
Yeah. So it would be ordinarily it would be in the realm of $20,000.
20,000. Okay. Okay. I appreciate your service on that board. You are the trustee from Washtenaw County on that panel. And I know it's a slog.
It can be. It can be. However, if you attend the meeting in person, CRA buys lunch.
Woohoo. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report.
Well,
May I add a couple?
Of course.
As there's a couple of things happened, that I will actually bring forward. The crew, from Yard 2, actually, that takes care of Rawsonville Road 3 weeks ago now, I believe, on a Saturday. And I commented on my last written report, but we replaced 2 culverts on Rawsonville Road.
Yeah.
As recently as Sunday, I drove that again, and I have to tell you, that crew did an amazing job of the patching repair. The repair was just absolutely done as good as I've ever seen done. So, we got the bill for the asphalt today too, as a matter of fact, but, and then the second thing is heavy equipment, and I commented on this in writing, replaced the, that may have been actually a little bridge. With a culvert on,
Maple?
Hmm?
On Maple?
no, the one preceding.
Oh, on Talladega, Hitchingham at Talladega?
Hitchingham, thank you. I could not say Hitchingham.
Thank you.
Yes, and Talladega was a crossroad, but I don't know if that little structure that we tore out was actually a bridge. It may have been. It would have been right at the,
Many of our culverts look like bridges. even if
right.
the Definition is the.
But
length, so.
anyway, whatever, that replacement, which definitely is a culvert, looks like one and is one by dimension, just turned out beautifully.
Yeah, it is very nice.
It really did. That was, and contrary to comments earlier, there's a number of projects that we do in a year that, actually fall inside the budget. That was one of them. So,
Anything further?
no,
No.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. It's okay. I will report that last evening, I attended the 103rd annual meeting. I haven't attended them all, of the Washtenaw County Farm Bureau, and it was held at Albert Orchards on Bethel Church Road out in the Manchester area. And it was a very interesting annual meeting. It adjourned at 8 p.m. But it was I was very impressed. I've been to a lot of annual meetings. I've actually organized and run a lot of meetings like that, and it was done beautifully. And I was recognized on behalf of this organization and was well received. It was a wonderful night, and I intend to try and attend those going forward, and I would encourage anyone else who has an interest. It was way out in my neck of the woods. It was like 7 minutes from my house for a change. It was great. But met a lot of wonderful farm families. Three, I don't think there were 4 generations there, but clearly at least 3 generations of farm families. So there are young people coming up. They're still continuing to decide to farm. And they're just really smart. They're very different from the farmers that I grew up with. That concludes my report.
Question?
Yes, sir.
What was the main dish served for supper?
It was hard cider from Albert Orchards. If you've never had Albert Orchards cider, you get some. It's wonderful, hard or otherwise. The caterer was nice.
Oh.
Yes. We had pulled pork, pulled chicken, homemade mac and cheese, coleslaw.
Knights from Ann Arbor?
Well, it starts with a K. I assume it was Knights,
Yeah.
the Knights that I know. And tossed salad, a wonderful spread of desserts. It was held out in an open air barn structure. It was a delightful evening, kind of long, but it was well worth the time spent. So
Who's going to be the next year's president?
I didn't bring that with me. The last
Oh.
name is one of those. You know, it wasn't Mann, it wasn't Scheibele, it wasn't Trinkley, it wasn't Blumenauer. I'm trying to, I don't remember,
Okay.
but it's another relatively young individual who's going to be the president of that particular bureau. And I'd also just like to remind the commissioners that the pancake breakfast is back for all of us on October 28th. Starts bright and early at what, 7 or 7:30?
I believe 7:30.
And we cook pancakes for our employees, and it is delightful. And Rod Green always brings the coolest apron of all, so be on the lookout for yours.
Time again?
7:30 is at the Celine Farm Council grounds again. And I'm sure you'll send out another reminder
We
between now and then. That's a month away.
Or you can drive around to where you see all the orange trucks.
Yeah, it's a wonderful tradition, and I'm glad it's back. All right, so please note, managing director and staff reports at this time.
Sure thing.
Start on pages 81, running through page 94.
Yes, I'll start by asking if anyone has any questions about the staff report, and we will certainly follow up to see if we neglected Scioto Township.
Okay.
If we did, that was certainly an oversight on our part.
Cheryl, you mean neglected in putting it in the report, not neglected in road work over the last 2 weeks?
I'm
Okay, I just
sorry.
want to clarify that. Okay.
Patient,
Yeah.
yes. No, we have not forgotten about Scioto Township, which actually will be part of my report, so.
All right.
All right, if you don't have any questions for me on the information from staff, just a couple other things I'd like to add.
Do I talk to you about communications, or is that somewhere else?
Well, you
in
can
the
ask
staff?
about communications. I'll see if I can answer.
I'd
and
just
if
like to
not-
point out pages 88 and 89, the community engagement that goes on. It's very impressive. We've come a long way in the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years on this front. And I'm particularly appreciative of the staff that engage in the community events. Those are typically after hours. And they love the snow plows out there. I've seen the one in Manchester as I'm out and about walking, but as you can see, we're involved in parades, big truck events, and then paint a plow drop offs again this year, which is always fun. Lots of emails, over 20,000 last month. Subscribers over 4,000. So kudos to our communications department in terms of outreach. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you for that special call out. They work very hard, and we frightened at least one motorist as we were dropping off a plow, and she saw the big front plow on the orange truck driving along, and clearly the words that she
was a weather report she
enunciated
had.
were, "I'm not ready for winter." So, yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
it's a lot of fun. So moving on, just a couple things I'd like to share. Adam Lape and I continue our meeting with various township supervisors. So over the last 2-week period, we sort of went to opposite corners of the county, and we met with Linden Township, and we met with Pam Burns up there. And then we did meet with Brenda Stumbo in Ypsilanti Township as well. So Adam's obviously familiar to a lot of these township supervisors, but new to the role. So it's been they've been fun dialogue. Each community is different, and it's fun to hear what they have to say. And again, to introduce Adam in his new role. So we've continued with that, and we will continue to make our way around the county with the remaining townships as well. Unfortunately, last week, we did have, Matt went down to federal court. We did have the most recent case with Lisa Johnson for North Territorial and Pontiac Trail. It basically is the same case that she brought in circuit court, only this time she brought it in federal court. Ron Reynolds continues to represent us. From what I understand, did a very nice job. And we have a motion to dismiss before the judge. So we hope to hear back on that shortly. But I did wanted to make you aware that that did take place last week.
Okay.
We also, speaking of Scioto Township, and certainly we did not neglect them in any way, shape, or form. In addition, we will be working with Scioto Township. We are actively putting together our submittal for the salt barn for submitting for planning commission approval. So we will have that submittal put in this week. and look forward to going through that process and obtaining planning commission approval from Scioto Township in the near future. Fingers crossed on that. And last but not least, I will be off next Thursday and next Friday. So that's September 29th and 30th. And as usual, I have awesome staff who can support me in my absence. I will work with staff to get the agenda together, and then Emily will be working closely with Aaron to get the actual board packet out. But if you need anything in my absence, please feel free to reach out to any of them. As you are well aware, they are very competent people, and I am very blessed to have them and to support me and allow me to take off. Any questions for me before I turn it over?
I don't see any.
All right. Let's start off with Dan today. We've got Dan Ackerman, our Director of Finance and IT.
Hello again. Director of Finance and IT. I'll try and keep it brief. Appreciate the board's time and attention to the state of IT this morning. Thought Chris did an excellent job and the board had some great questions. So definitely keep them coming. And you know, just we covered a lot. He covered a lot of information and there's obviously a lot there. And we just want to make sure that the board is comfortable with all the decision making that's taking place and feels comfortable that we're, you know, set up well as far as security and you know, that we're on a proper path with that. So it's almost like we planned it, but apparently today is National IT Professionals Day. So it's like we planned our report on the, yeah. I actually didn't know until my wife just sent me a text a little bit ago. But anyway, Chris Quinter, I see he's maybe listening. We appreciate you, and Josh Summerhill as well. We appreciate you as well. And just for all the things that they've done for us in the past and their wisdom and guidance in the future. And, you know, I feel really great about the team and, you know, the direction we're headed. So I was also counting the squares behind you. And at one point there was at least 24 virtual attendees. Obviously, several of them also made public comment. And I just was really proud that this organization is allowed, or that we can make that possible. And, you know, what a great way, you know, obviously some very important things that were discussed earlier. And, you know, it's just neat that citizens didn't have to be physically in the boardroom to be able to have their comments heard. And, you know, again, open and transparent and all that kind of good stuff. So I was kind of smiling. I mean, I know it was kind of a tough public hearing, but I was kind of smiling just by the number of attendees that we had and a number of them that spoke. I don't know, was that a record, Emily, for as far as virtual attendees speaking?
For board meeting, yeah.
For board, yeah, right. So that's just, you know, great that we're still able to provide that. For finance, believe it or not, we'll be working on third quarter reports soon. I mean, how did that happen? I mean, I thought summer just started and now it's ending and third quarter is going to be done and time just keeps marching on. So we'll be busily working on all of those things. And also, I think I shared with you, we sent out a majority of the second township billings. And I've been very impressed with the turnaround from the townships as far as payment of those. As a matter of fact, after this meeting, I'm going to be heading to the bank because we had a number of checks that came in. I want to get that deposit going. So, you know, definitely been very pleased with how that's been going. So, and that's all I have.
Question. So do townships have the ability to pay virtually as well, do direct, like our vendors have been encouraged to do over the past 3-4 years?
We currently don't have any of those arrangements in place as far as organizations paying us electronically. We do have that for some permits, like lower dollars. We have not implemented anything. As a matter of fact, Pittsfield Township was interested in paying us that way. And I actually thought we were ready to go because it had to involve the county treasurer's office a little as well, just to get everything set up and controls in place. But they have not pursued it any further. Certainly we would be open.
They who, Dan?
Pittsfield Township.
Okay.
Certainly we would be open, you know, if an organization wants to pay us quicker, well, we certainly would listen to that and try and make it happen as best and as optimally as we could. But currently, usually it's still the traditional method of providing us a check.
Do you have a preference?
Until we have a little better procedure, I actually probably prefer a check, assuming.
Okay, paper trail.
Yeah, just the way our system is currently set up. Obviously, for us paying vendors, we've got a great process in place, and we are probably about 50-50 or maybe more that we're paying vendors via ACH, which is great. But we have a lock solid procedure and systems in place. That would probably take a little more doing as far as receiving payments. Of course, the state of Michigan, we receive all those payments electronically. That's been long established. Certainly I would be open to that, but we just want to make sure, again, procedures were tight and so on. Sometimes we have issues with the mail and everything else. So, I was intrigued when Pittsfield Township, they actually brought it to our attention. And we were in the process of making that happen. I've never heard back that they've actually have gone forward with it, and we're still receiving checks from them. So
they have to do something. It's not that we have to do something.
well, just in coordination with the county treasurer's office and just to get everything set up in place. So again, we have a good mechanism going for that. So there were a couple steps involved, but we were certainly willing to entertain that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, next up, we have Matt McDonald, our Director of Engineering.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. Just wanted to make a quick report on large projects, Liberty and Z roundabout. I'm pleased to announce that we're open for traffic. So
It's
that's good.
beautiful.
Glad to hear that. I think so. Also, we're nearing completion on the Pontiac Trail North Territorial Road roundabout. Hoping for paint this week, and then we can open it to traffic. And then also Packard Road in Pittsfield Township between 23 and Carpenter, that's nearing completion as well. Dixboro Road at Plymouth Road, the right turn lane for our CMAQ project, and it tied in with our Dixboro Trail. It's finally wrapping up, so that's good news. And we are waiting paving schedules for Grove Road, LaForge Road, and Tuttle Hill Road. That's been a little tough to schedule this time of year with paving crews. So, but we're committed to completing them before year's end. I did like to point out in the board packet on page 38, it was a letter, basically a commitment letter for funding applications that went in for SEMCOG. Commend Brent and Elena on all their efforts in traffic and safety, where they're always going after safety funding. This is definitely qualifies as federal safety funding. It's a new funding source for us, but we're looking at a number of different intersections where a roundabout would be a good solution. So we'll see what comes of it, but absolutely always plugging into those competitive grants where we can and where it makes sense. We'll continue to do so. And SEMCOG was a great partner in helping us to put this together. So any questions for me? Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Adam Lape, our Director of Operations.
Afternoon, Adam Lape, Director of Operations. Doug, thank you for the compliments on Rossville Road. That was a combination of quite a few crews. We're putting about anybody that's together to do it. So heavy equipment.
Whoever
in
was
District
running the
5.
roller that day was
Yes, we're
superb.
we get better every day. So, and I'll jump kind of further down my list real quick and compliment that heavy equipment crew and really all our crews. We finally finished the seal coat program, so get some road paint on a few of the road sections and we'll be good for the season. So they completed the last bit of fog seal last week, and we're waiting for winter now. So we'll start prepping for dry run, but a few little projects in there that we're still trying to get in, drainage primarily, and then some of the township projects we're completing. So Maple Road was completed last week in York Township. So once again, more appreciative for the combination, the help that they've been providing for us. York Township's been great. All the other townships are supporting us as well. Now in Lima, working on Wiley Road, replacing a culvert. So in theory, culverts on Wiley Road. And then District 1, continuing working on limestone spreading. And also the reason for Scioto Township actually being removed is we didn't do maintenance there because that entire crew was in Webster Township working on Walsh Road. So that's the reason why it found its way out. And that was confirmed. I texted Tiffany just a second ago to confirm that. So she's an all-star and checked every computer bit of data we had left. So that's where we were. We were in the north end of District 1. So
Thank you, Adam.
yep. And that is it. We are preparing for dry run the next few weeks. Started today, working with the state trunk line trucks, and then over the next little bit shorter than a month, we'll start prepping and inspecting for the unfortunate snow that will eventually get here.
Explain what dry run is and,
Yep.
and the healthy competition that goes on. between
Yes,
the-
yes, we have our golden plow, which got a little dusty for a few years because we were a little bit restricted and couldn't quite meet as much as we'd like. So every crew, their respective crew, their equipment's rated after they prep it for the season. Hanging the snow ice equipment off the sides, the plows, so to speak, mounting them, and then cleaning the truck, painting the truck usually. And so we score that system. We also score how the truck performs. So are there any little maintenance items they had to, achieve for us to give them a higher rate? So then you have a winner for each yard, and then you have a winning yard. So we have our healthy competition to give our golden plow and a little bit of spray paint in a homemade plastic box. And we've kind of made ourselves a little cool trophy that we carry around and share, but pretty prideful. And at one point, a District 3 foreman that's retired may or may not have actually bolted it to the wall because he felt pretty proud that we were going to win it all the time in that district. So we had to remove it. So that's a good sign. So the competition is healthy.
Nothing like a good competition here
Right.
at the road commission. It
Yes,
doesn't
so-
take much.
Yeah. And so we appreciate the support for that. It's a lot to get everybody ramped up and get going. 50, 60 heavy trucks, as we've talked about before, and then all of our 11 graders and all of our small trucks that have plows. So we get pretty busy considering how we only have 60 or 70 of us really running around that can put those back together for the season. So we keep pretty busy over the next month, and also on top of finishing quite a large season, so of construction. So we're proud of ourselves, but now we got to hurry up and rev up for the next year. So if there are any other questions, that is it for my.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, I'm sure you're over this, I think, the speed bumps.
I'm not, but I can help maybe guide that question through Matt and Brent.
Oh, okay, just some happy people in West Willow on South Nash. They're getting speed bumps. They're so happy.
I'm
Get them.
glad to hear that.
Are they humps or are they bumps?
They're humps.
Humps.
Yeah, and they don't care. They're long as they get on there. The only thing they had a question about was the distance, because they said that with the distance, it's like people are speeding in between that, which I don't know if that's common or not, or yeah.
Yeah, certainly the neighborhood traffic calming program has been greatly successful in engaging residents. I'm happy to hear that they qualified and are circulating petition for speed humps. And if they have questions, Elena Yadikina is the person to ask. We can certainly, if you've got a contact or someone, if you could forward it to me, and I'll get it to Elena and we'll get that question answered. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there is a little science behind the spacing. I mean, typically you're looking at what, like 400 to 600 feet apart.
Okay.
So that they're not building up, I mean, assuming of course you have a reasonable driver, that you're not
Yeah.
building up too much speed between the humps. I mean, like so many things, they're a balance because they are a bit of an inconvenience. So
Yeah.
you don't want them and expensive. So you don't want them every 50
Fire
feet.
engine going down.
Exactly. And yet you still want to control the speed. And then when we are placing them, there's a lot of considerations. We are looking at where driveway spacings are, because clearly we're not going to obstruct someone's access. We're looking at drainage structures when you're on a curved street so that the water's still going where we want it to go. So there's a lot of criteria that are going into play with how we space those out. But there is actually a bit of a science behind it as well.
I did provide the road commission number, so if they call that number, they will be
Yep.
directed.
Yeah,
to- Okay.
absolutely. And Elena is our subject matter expert when it comes to the traffic
Okay,
calming.
good.
Yeah.
And one last thing, I'm not sure who does this, either the street sweeping. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Matt just ran for cover. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Happy people, Adam. I would have
Right,
taken
right.
that. Saw that.
Question away.
Um,
Yeah.
Is there any kind of way we can get close to a schedule? Because I saw them yesterday in West Willow. And I know we have this pilot program that we can put signs out to say a street sweeping is coming. Don't park on the street.
We are very glad to hear that. We actually talked to Ypsilanti last week at the township hall. We were gonna try to bump it back this year, but our contractor already had the equipment staged. So we had to keep going because we didn't want to lose the opportunity in line for them to go
Sure.
somewhere else. And the season's getting kind of thin with temperature, requirements. So yes, that's a good thing. We're actually gonna build on that work. I talked to the contractor on Friday morning. We met with the township Thursday morning. I talked with our contractor Friday morning. I told them we'd like to get a month ahead. That'll give the township, they requested about a 3-week notice.
Yeah.
Where they could get it in the newsletter, but that would go
Right.
hand in hand with maybe getting some signage. And we'll take anything we can get because that is amazing to us to have a clear street that we can.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
already have the signs. We just need to be told when to put them out.
Okay,
And so we would
perfect.
strategically put them out throughout the neighborhood so people don't park on their street.
That'll be great. Yeah, so that's all gonna fall on the line actually for next year. So that'll be a good
Word.
thing. Or with the park.
Would they have driveways? They could, it'll be 2 or 3 cars in a driveway, but they'll do that to clear the street.
Yeah. And as you know, I mean, being that close to it, we get through there pretty quick.
Yeah,
It doesn't take
yeah.
us too long. So,
No.
you're talking a few days of
No,
obstruction.
you're not gonna be inconvenienced long.
Yeah.
We'd rather
Doesn't
have the
take too
streets clean.
Much better
Yeah.
product if the vehicles and other things are off the street.
Right.
So we've been running our contractor. He started setting things up to run essentially a tandem unit. So a unit goes by, another one comes behind to try to speed that up. So when we do get the gap in whether it be traffic or if it's a non-garbage collection day,
Mhm.
we can kind of get in and get out quick.
Mhm.
So we're developing, we're getting better. But
Right.
yes, that's great. And we'll take that and I'll give that to the contractor and we'll just make that the way we schedule. So
More happy news.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You didn't need to run for cover up.
Thank you,
All
Adam.
right. Thank you, everyone.
What else? Nothing else?
Thank you.
Okay. So at this point in time, I want to remind people that our next regular board meeting, no working session, October 4th. Virtual chat sessions tomorrow. It's Commissioner Green. I assume he's going to be reminded. Yes, Aaron, since he's not here this afternoon. Thank you. And then September 28th is Commissioner Yamas. And those are every Wednesday from noon to 1 p.m. If there's no further business or announcements to come before this board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
No. Aaron, please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller
Aye.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.